Good morning, everyone. I'm back. I'm Dr. Arbab, and I'm going to discuss about the concept trust. We've heard this several times in our lives. Sometimes we've been a victim of mistrust. Sometimes, I'm sure all of you, all of us have had the experience of trust. And most important, this lecture is about a concept which we cannot see. It's invisible, but it is extremely important. The whole society rests on this concept, trust. In con- Trust is one of the most important challenges the contemporary organizations, irrespective of size, location, product, or services, have to face. Organizations have to face the reality of playing with this concept, trust. It might sound common sense. My friends, it is not that common sense. It needs to be nurtured. It needs to be captured. It needs to be inserted in every activities of the organization in a systematic manner. So, my friends, it is not that common sense. Had it been common sense, companies, big giant banks like BCCI, financial institutions like Lehman Brothers would not have collapsed. And that's the reality, that's the truth. Trust was misused, abused. As a result, big organizations had to pay for it. Who suffered? The society suffered. The employees suffered. The families suffered. And that's why my concentration will be on this small word, trust. Okay, my friends, I hope all of you are doing fine, and all of you, whatever you're doing, wherever you are, I wish all of you a good day. And most important issue is trust. Having trust on what you're doing is very important. To create this trust, people may say many things, it doesn't matter. Trust is the foundation of a society. Trust is the very pillar on which an organization succeeds and moves ahead. Number of scholars have researched on this topic, trust. I can mention a few of their names: Francis Fukuyama, George Simmel, Robert M. Kramer, Henry Farrell, Pfeffer, Matt Alistair Mayer, etc. Numerous scholars have actually examined this concept, trust. Even the entrepreneurs are taking an active interest to promote trust, to understand trust. Even organizational professional bodies like CIPD London, of which I'm a fellow, have thought about this topic and published articles on this topic and have done research on this topic. It only consists of 5 letters. But these 5 letters can move an organization from A to B. And at the same time, it can bring down an organization from B to A. It's an extremely powerful concept. We must think about it. And as HR practitioners, what can I say? We deal with people. People have to trust us. I have to trust people. There's nothing I can do about it. My whole game depends on trustworthiness. Why? Because of my proximity, because of the occupational proximity to mankind. We deal with human beings, and if people cannot trust us, what's the point of having? What's the point of existing as an HRM specialist? People have to trust us. I have to trust people. It's only then that an HRM specialist can succeed. And it's not easy. It's quite difficult. My friends, quite difficult when you're dealing with this small concept of trust. Each and every movement will have to be analyzed. And that's why this lecture is about trust. And in a nutshell, I'll only say this much. Be aware of what you're doing. Take into account trust in all your activities. So let's start. What do I mean by trust? I can't give a single definition, so I'll explain the concept trust. Trust is the belief in a set of relationships to achieve favorable results. I repeat, this is my interpretation of trust. Trust is a belief in a set of relationships to achieve favorable results. In this trust, there are 2 key players, truster and trustee. Truster is a person giving the trust. Trustee is a person receiving the trust. So, trust basically is the belief in a set of relationships to achieve something. Without having a goal, what's the point in trusting each other? There must be a goal. That's what I mean, favorable results. For both truster and trustee. So there are 2 main players in a trust relationship, truster and a trustee. One who gives the trust is the truster, another person who receives the trust is a trustee. Trustee is the person who actually has accepted and has taken responsibility to maintain the trust. The role of trustee is extremely important. The person, he or she, has accepted the trust and pledges to maintain the trust. At the same time, as a truster, I'm giving the trust. Based on what? There must be some reason why I'm trusting the trustee. In my lectures, in my following lecture, in this particular lecture, I'll be discussing the reasons behind my action to trust somebody. At the same time, people must trust me. But the question is, why? I don't believe in blind trust. I believe in a trust which can be justified. I see trust as a system which I divide into three parts: input, process, output. I repeat, I see trust as a system comprising of inputs, process, and outputs. First of all, let me discuss what I mean by inputs. Inputs to me means or consists of limited knowledge. I'll explain that later. Expectations, competence, ability, trustworthiness, integrity, interest, relational background, role, rational exchange, history-based trust, role-based trust, rule-based trust. These are the concepts I'm going to discuss within a few minutes. Process is where the trust is transferred to an output. What could be the output? Favorable results, something positive. It can be loyalty, it can be commitment, it can be professionalism. Whatever it is, there must be a goal for a trust. First of all, limited knowledge. Why do I use the word limited knowledge? Because our knowledge is really not complete in anything, in any sense. I call myself an HR expert. I'm bluffing myself. I'm pretending to be an expert. I'm no expert. I'm learning each day. I cannot call myself an expert. My knowledge is limited. That's the truth. That's the reality. There's no point pretending to my dear friends. No, I'm not pretending. I will not pretend. I'm learning each day. There's no point trust. If I just think about this, if I know something to be absolutely true, there is no point in trusting that thing. If I know this is my mobile phone, if I know it, there's no point in trusting it. Why complicate things? I do not need to complicate issues. This is a mobile, this is a mobile. That's fine. I do not need. But when my knowledge is limited, the question of trust emerges. It's a very, very important issue. I'm dealing with knowledge-based trust. Remember the concept, knowledge-based trust. Why? Because our knowledge seems to be inadequate, seems to be incomplete. And as I say, had I known the answers of everything, I wouldn't need another concept like trust to come into the picture. There's no question of trust. If I know something to be true, I know this is a mobile. I know this is my calculator. Whether it's working or not, that's a different issue. So, my friends, trust is basically limited. And that is the reason why I attach the concept or been into the concept trust. Because my knowledge is limited. I'm not sure how many of you, but I'm sure many of you have been to a mortgage advisor. I've been to an advisor, mortgage advisor, so have you. If you visit a mortgage advisor, the mortgage advisor will take you through a few questions, and those are called fact finding questions about the person. Why? Just to establish a trust. If you don't believe me, go to a mortgage advisor. He's got a questionnaire. He's going to ask you many questions about your earning, about your family members, how many family members you have, what do you do, where do you work, how much do you get paid. All these questions are important. Why? Because these questions are leading to the creation of some sort of trust. I'm using the word some sort of trust. If you want to open an account in a bank, you'll go through a number of questions. Why? Because those questions are creating a sort of trust with the client. This is what I call knowledge-based trust. Next time you trust somebody, please deploy the knowledge-based trust. Try to have some knowledge of him or her before delegation. I'm not saying you cannot know anybody 100%. At least you can give it a try to know somebody who can trust, who can maintain your trust. At the end of the day, I cannot guarantee anything. We are human beings, but we can give it a try. We can be at least aware by doing our homework. Whenever I give my trust to somebody, I'll try to do some research. It doesn't have to be empirical research. No, my friends. Just a little thought about who I'm trusting the person. Another concept is expectation. What is to be expected is important in establishing trust. Why should the trustee accept your trust? What is his or her expectation must be clarified. This expectation must be defined and communicated to all the stakeholders. Why should I trust you? What do I expect from you? It's very important. And why should I accept another person's trust? What does the truster expect from the trustee? Suppose I'm the trustee. Somebody is giving me a trust. The question is, what do I expect from this trust? It might sound cynical, but that's the truth. Expectation is a very important issue in trust, which must be clarified. before engaging in trust. The next point is ability. Yes, if I give somebody a trust, he or she must have that ability, skills, aptitude, knowledge to maintain the trust in order to accomplish the objective of the trust. What's the point of trusting somebody if he hasn't got the ability, hasn't got the capability, hasn't got the skill, knowledge? What's the point in trusting the person? At least I do not know why I should trust somebody if he doesn't or she doesn't know what the issue is about. Think about it. It is extremely important having the ability, if you're a trustee, having the ability to deliver, to maintain the trust. And the trustee must decide, the truster must decide whether he or she has the ability, skills, knowledge, aptitude, and aptitude to maintain the trust. These issues are very, very important. I'm talking from experience. The next issue is taking into account a person's integrity, character, honesty, fairness, and just. Think about, I'm going to delegate my trust to somebody. I'll think about the person's integrity to some extent. I don't know the full picture of the person. I do not know what's inside. But I'll try to find out. I'll try to engage myself, try to see inside, again, my knowledge is limited, but I'll think about this person's integrity, past performance. I'll ask people about this person. I'm not trying to put people down, just to create the trust. I'll take into account his character or her character to some extent in relation to the subject matter of the trust. I'll take into account whether the person is fair and just. Again, I'm saying, my friends, I cannot be sure of anything. I can only think about these things before it's too late. It's just a warning to my friends. Trust is serious. We have to take into account a knowledge-based trust based on the ability, capability, skills of the trustee, and I will take into account the integrity, character, honesty of the trustee. It's reciprocal. People will also talk about me when I'm delivering, when I'm giving my trust to someone. An employee may also have these questions. Is my boss, take for example, I'm the boss. Is he a man of integrity? Will he pay the salary properly? And it's not about being properly paid salary. It's about being on time. I have to create this trust. It will not come from a magic box. Another concept, interest. This means an advantage. There must be some advantage somewhere for both the parties, for the truster and for the trustee. There's nothing wrong with it. But there must be some advantage, some expectation which must be clarified beforehand. There must be some incentive. Why I should trust, I should trustee, I should think about honoring the trust. Why should I? If I'm a trustee, okay. But there must be something, some interest. Interest is very important. What is my interest? In maintaining the trust? In delivering the trust? This needs to be clarified beforehand. Now, another approach is the rational approach. I see, and many theorists see, trust as an exchange. This is what I call a rational activity. Trust is a matter of taking risks, a risky choice, that is to maximize expected gains or minimize expected losses. I repeat, when I'm talking about a rational approach to trust, I'm taking into consideration risks and risk taking or making a risky choice. That means to maximize expected gains or to minimize expected losses from a given transaction. This is what I mean by rational approach to trust. Think about the concept. Trust is about taking risks, making risky decisions. I do not know the result. How do I know the result of anything? I'm giving my trust to somebody. How do I know whether he or she will maintain the trust? It's risky. It's a risky game. In this trust, I'll try to maximize expected gains and minimize losses in this transaction. Think about it, my friends. Think about this. This is what I mean by rational approach to trust. History-based trust. Here, I'm looking into or trying to look into the history of the person. I'll try to take references about the person. To some extent, what do people think about the trustee? This is about history of the person in relation to a transaction. Remember, my friends, trust is a transaction. And I would like to know the history or the background of the person I'm trusting. It's very important to focus on the trust. You cannot take things lightly. I've taken this lightly. At the age of 64, I come to realize, no, my approach was wrong. I cannot take trust easily. There's no There is no scarcity of mistrust in this world. I have to be careful. If I'm going to trust somebody, it has to be based on examination. In this examination, history takes an important role. I don't want to be fooled anymore. I've had enough of mistrust. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to be cynical. No, my friends, I'm a very positive person. I love people. I love to serve people. And I've got the respect and love of people. There's no question about it. But at the same time, when the serious is issue, I have to think about trust. Why am I trusting another person? Based on what? Does he have the capability, ability, skill? Does he have the character, honesty? What does history say about what does the history say about his or her transactions? I won't know everything, but I can think about these issues. Now, with all this knowledge, also role-based knowledge, what is my role? At the moment, I'm the head of human resource management within this small enterprise, and I'm also the advisor of human resource management. My subject is human resource management, and that's my boundary. And I'm the advisor and head of human resources with this organization. The organization has to trust me, and this is my role. This is what I mean by role-based trust. The role is being trusted. This is what I'm paid for. Simple as that. Rule-based trust. Again, my friends, is quite an important concept. Not challenging the rules, not breaking the rules. If there is a rule, follow the rules. Take, for example, I don't know. Okay, the traffic light sequences. When there is a red light, it means to stop. Those who drive will know. You can't question that. There's no point arguing. You have to stop when you see the red lights. Only a stupid person will ask, only a stupid person will question. And when you see amber and red together, what does that mean? Before red, there'll be another two colors, amber and red together, which means prepare to stop. And then comes red. Now stop. Then you'll see the color green, which means now you can go. There's nothing I can do about it when I'm driving. I have to maintain the rules. I have to trust the rules of the game. Trust, again, from the output point of view, trust means which leads to higher performance. increased job satisfaction, increased satisfaction with the organization, organizational success, motivated stakeholders, leading to greater commitment, loyalty, retained employees, and timely delivery. Timely delivery. But all this can come when the trust is high within the organization. Here again, I'm talking about low trust and high trust. When the trust is high, people will be intrinsically motivated, will take responsibility, will try to perform by talking to the employees. Simple dialogue. I'm not talking about having statistical knowledge or empirical analysis. No, my friends, keep things simple. Talk to the people, find out whether they trust the employer or not. It's important. But again, I have to take into account technology. Due to the technological advances, people are dispersed in various locations, and it is not always possible to maintain face-to-face trust, face-to-face interactions. It's not possible in these days. Here we are talking about virtual interactions, meaning virtual trusts that needs to be investigated. Here I've brought in a concept of virtual trust. I'm not an expert in these latest technologies, but think about it. It is important. You cannot have face-to-face conversations with everybody. People are now globalized. There's nothing I can do about it. It's a global village. So think about this concept of virtual trust, of which I'm no expert. As an HR specialist, my basic role is actually to increase the trust within the organization, where both the employers can trust the employees can trust the employer. I look into the culture of the organization. That's my subject matter. I look into the culture of the organization just to maintain the trust, improve the trust, increase the trust. Here I'm talking about mutuality of trust from both sides, employers and employees. That's my role. I'm in between, trying to correspond with each group of people. My role is here to increase the trust by creating a high trust culture within the organization in a systematic manner. That's my role. And a few areas of mistrust, a few areas. Of the few areas, Yes, I can mention there might be few issues in the creation of a high trust culture. What are the issues? From my observation, heuristically driven, lack of effective and ethical leadership. To me, it is very important. Lack of ethical leadership. Another issue I find quite interesting, which can actually cause more mistrust than trust, and that is poor management structure, poor corporate structure, lack of integrity in the top management, expectations not fulfilled, which means breach of trust. These are the few issues. There are many issues, but these are the few issues which I think quite critical. Ethical leadership, corporate governance, expectations not fulfilled, and lack of integrity in the top management. What do we mean by ethical leadership? Here, two distinct concepts have emerged, or two distinct subject matters have emerged: ethics and leadership. Combinedly, I've said ethical leadership, but both the concepts, ethics and leadership, is very, very huge, very debatable, very controversial, and at the same time, extremely significant. What is ethics? By the way, I'm no philosopher. I can only say what I observe. To me, ethics means what is right, what is correct, and understanding what is wrong. To me, wrong is always wrong. Right is always right. That's ethics. I won't go into any. I won't go into it. I won't. Sorry. I will not go into any huge debate. I will not use any huge words. It's only for my friends. My friends. I'm talking for my friends. To me, ethics means what is right and understanding what is wrong. Simple, and that's it. There's no point in confusing people. I don't want to be confused. I won't let others be confused. Ethics is about morality. It's a huge concept on its own. I will not go into an ethics. Yes, in my next lecture, I'll be dealing with ethics more elaborately. But for the time being, what is right is right. What is wrong is wrong. Ignoring ethics is actually giving an open invitation to fraud, greed, corruption. To some extent, if you ignore ethics, you're opening the door to corruption. You're opening the door to greed. You're taking a great risk. So, my friends, my colleagues, my junior colleagues, and my senior colleagues, take into account ethics. It is about morality in business, having some morality in doing business. It's an important discipline. Again, ethics can be divided into two parts: consequentialism and deontology. Consequentialism, coming from the word consequence, deontology means the rules or the process of coming to the results. One is about result, another about is the process of coming to the result. Consequentialists, or those who believe in consequences, say that if my result is fine, that is ethical. That is ethical if my action is right. If my result is right, that's enough. On the other hand, those who advocate process or deontological approach to ethics will say, is the process right? They're questioning the process, not the result. Over here, the consequentials will think about the result. Have you achieved the result? Yes. That's all. I don't need to know how. On the other hand, people like Immanuel Kant and many other great philosophers talk about how you've achieved the results is important to me. It's very interesting, my friends. Very interesting. The topic ethics is intriguing and very interesting. If you have time, please do your research. Based on ethics, investors, stakeholders, investees, and the management, top management, middle management, all rely on ethics. All are observing ethical practices with the organization. But now it's not about being observant. It's about doing something. Having a code, a guideline. And there's no good having a code if it's not implemented. I wouldn't like a code which is only rhetoric. If you have a code, implement it, articulate it, spread it to the employees for them to understand that our organization is ethical. So, again, my friends, what is ethics? Coming back to my definition, ethics means what is right and understanding what is wrong. Again, this might be debatable. Take, for example, I'm feeling very hot. We are in the same room. I'm feeling extremely hot. Another colleague is feeling cold. We're in the same room. It can happen. One is feeling hot, another person is feeling cold. It's true, that's the truth. And as a top management, I have to be very ethical of what actually is happening within the organization. I have to see both sides of the coin in order to understand what's happening within the organization. I have to be fair and just as an HRM specialist or so-called specialist. Another another discipline is about leadership. What is leadership? Remember, leadership gains their legitimacy through trust, emerges from displaying leadership skills and behavior appropriate to the situation, taking into account power, influence, motivation, internal and external environment, and personality. Leadership to me, basically, leadership is about expertise, consistency, values, principles. Leadership is about taking responsibility. Leadership is about providing guidance to the people. Leadership is about behavior. Again, leadership can be divided into two parts: transactional leadership, transformational leadership. Transactional leadership means leadership, taking leadership of the day-to-day affairs. Extremely important. At the same time, transformational leadership is about looking ahead. Both are important. And when I insert the discipline trust in leadership, I mean leadership which is trustworthy. To me, to some extent, organizations run unethically and supported by the top management, which means the top management is also a part of the non-ethical practices within the organization. It can happen. It is not unusual. It takes place. At times, such organizations are winners. But remember, it's only for a short time before the truth is revealed. My friends, I've spoken about this trust, and now it's up to you to decide the importance of this concept. It's very important for you to decide whether my lecture is of any value or not. I think it is valuable, but my friends, you have a, all of you have a freedom of speech and freedom of thought. You can think about yourselves what I've just said about trust. Where I've mentioned the justification of trust. Why should I trust somebody? Based on what? All my friends are extremely important, and I believe are thought-provoking friends who like to think. So just think about my lecture and see whether it makes sense or not. My friends, have a good day or have a pleasant day, and God bless you all. Thank you.